What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, we're going to have another MCU cosmic discussion. On this one, we're going to talk about one of the post-credit scenes from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And the one we're going to talk about in this video is going to be the Adam Warlock Easter egg scene at I believe it was the very, very last end credit scene. Okay, so we have Aisha saying, that she's basically creating a new weapon to go after the Guardians, and she's going to call him Adam. Alright, so couple of nice little nod to the comic book, because Adam was actually referred to as him when he first came out in the comics, and Aisha was actually referred to as her at a point. So it was a nice little callback, when she made a point to say him, right? Okay, so interesting. Now, this would lead us all to believe that Adam Warlock will be in the Infinity Saga, which I believe will cover 2 movies. I think this is wrong, and I actually believe James Gunn when he says that Adam Warlock, and Kevin Feige said the same thing, that Adam Warlock will not be part of Infinity War. Now, I guess there's a small chance he'll be part of the follow-up to Infinity War, but I doubt that too. Think about it like this. Yes, I know he's part of the story in the comics and all that, and he's a big part of the story. I get it. But think about it. They have a lot of characters already to juggle around in this movie without having to explain who any of them are. You know what I mean? And, to have to add in another character and explain who he is, it's a big mistake, and that's like a convolution problem that some studios have. Marvel doesn't seem to have that problem. So let's hope that they keep Adam Warlock. As much as I'd like to see him integrated in that storyline, it just doesn't work with the way that the MCU is set up right now. So we don't need Adam Warlock in that storyline. So I really hope it's true and they don't have him in the Infinity storyline, and his first introduction is in Guardians 3. Now, I think Adam Warlock is going to be one of the main characters going forward in the MCU Cosmic. I did another video all about what I think they're going to do for their Phase 4, which they said probably wouldn't even be called Phase 4. And just to give you a quick summary of that video, you can always check it out after this one. I think they're going to split the MCU after Phase 4. And we're going to have MCU Cosmic and a whole bunch of movies centered around the Cosmic and the intergalactic stuff. And then we'll get the MCU Earth, which will be focused on our Earthbound heroes, the Avengers, etc. And then we'll get a few characters that ride the plane between the two, like Captain Marvel. Hopefully I'm right, and a lot of us are right, because I'm not the only one speculating this, but hopefully Fantastic Four comes back to Marvel, so there'll be somebody else that can ride the line. Doctor Strange can ride the line to an extent. Ant-Man can ride the line to an extent because he travels to different dimensions, so it gives you a galactic and other planetary feel. So that's where I think they're going for after Phase 3. So the beyond part of Phase 3 and beyond, right? Alright, so I think they're going to introduce him in Guardians 3, and I believe he's going to be in the antagonist for most of that movie. They're going to go up against Aisha and the Sovereign and their main weapon, which will be Adam Warlock. And I don't think he's going to turn as quickly as he does in the comics, where it's like almost right away he turns. I think Aisha and them are going to kind of manipulate him and having to think that the Guardians are the enemy, are a bad guys. And I think it's going to send Adam, but I do think halfway through the movie he's going to realize that they're not bad, and he's going to flip-flop sides, and then they're going to go after the Sovereign, and then the real villain of the movie, I think, will be the High Evolutionary, or a version of the High Evolutionary. What they'll probably do, I would assume, the way they seem to be handling Celestials, it seems like the elders of the elders of the universe and the Celestials, I think they're kind of mishmashing those. because I think it's going to turn out that maybe Collector and Grandmaster are Celestials too, like how Ego was a Celestial, but maybe not. Maybe they will be Elders, because I haven't seen Collector display any power. So honestly, they're probably not Celestials. But we'll probably get either another Elder or another Celestial that is going to be responsible for not only creating the Sovereign, because somebody had to create the first Sovereign for them to keep creating themselves, right? So I believe that the High Evolutionary created the Sovereign, and also is tinkering around with other life forms on another planet. I don't believe it will be counter Earth. It's going to be a separate planet somewhere else in the galaxy, I believe. But I believe that he's tinkering with animals, and he's responsible for Rocket Raccoon. And I think he's going to have something to do with the extermination, so to speak, of Groot's people. So I believe Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will deal with a villain who is connected to the Sovereign and Adam Warlock, and also connected to Rocket and Groot. So we'll get a nice wrap-up of story in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. That's where I think they're going with the story. It's going to be the Guardians versus the Sovereign and Adam Warlock in the beginning. Then Warlock is going to say, no, screw this. These guys aren't bad. He's going to join the Guardians, and then they're going to seek down the true villain, which will be the High Evolutionary, or a version of him, which I think will be an Elder or a Celestial. And they're probably a Celestial. And they're going to have to go up against him. And I believe, like I said, he's the one that created Rocket, ripped him apart, and put him back together. And I think he's going to be responsible for exterminating Groot's people. Maybe that was the planet he wanted, or maybe he was using the wood for something, or maybe there's some sort of magical abilities inside of their blood. We know that the Groots have some sort of magical ability. So yeah, I like that idea, and it's perfect, because if you think about it, the first movie kind of dealt with the group. It was really Quill, but it dealt with the group as a whole, and then the second movie is really all about Quill and Gamora. That's who the main focus of their past and their storylines focuses on with Volume 2, is Gamora and Quill. So now then, if you have Part 3, you focus it on Rocket and Groot. But I know what you're saying, well, what about Drax? When are you going to focus on Drax? I believe Drax will be a main focus of the Infinity Saga, in his storyline at least. Him telling his storyline, because Thanos is responsible for killing his wife and daughter. And I do think he's not going to make it out of the Infinity Saga. So I don't even think Drax is going to be in Guardians 3. Yeah. So that's that. So that's what I think they're going to do with Adam Warlock. And he's going to be a big character. He's going to be, I don't want to say the Iron Man, but let's just say the Iron Man or the Captain America of the galactic side of it. Of course, there'll be other main characters, of course. But I think he is going to be the one of the major characters going forward. As far as casting goes, I would like to see, I don't know, alright, they obviously, story-wise, it makes sense that it's somebody that's young, they're late 20s, early 30s, somebody that fits in with, the Sovereign, who looks like them. And so, some of the actors I was thinking of, I like Michael Fassbender, but I think he's too old. I originally thought that that's what they were trying to get Matthew McConaughey to play, was Adam Warlock, but I think he's also too old. He was probably actually up to play Ego and not Warlock. And so I think those two guys are too old, even though I would love to see them try and tackle this role. Now, I also like Alexander Skarsgård from True Blood. I don't know exactly how old he is. I didn't look it up. But I think he could pull off being around the same age as the rest of them when he shaves and everything. And I think he would look, presentable and good in the gold. He's got a nice fit build. And he's got kind of a very serious tone about him, which I think will work well in the Guardians. Because it'll contrast the goofiness of the rest of the Guardians to have this serious character come in. And they're all cracking jokes at him. I think that would work totally. If Alexander Skarsgård doesn't float your boat, it doesn't work. I don't think he's a strong enough actor. I loved him in Sons of Anarchy, but I haven't really liked him in anything else. But I think he does have the ability, I guess, given the right script and the right direction. Charlie Hunnam, I think, could pull off a good Adam Warlock. And Armie Hammer. Now, I think Armie Hammer is actually working with DC. So if that's the case, of course you can scratch that one. But I think he's the best choice out of all of them. He has a pretty good acting ability. We've seen it. He could play that serious role. He's got that deep, not sinister, but I don't know. It reminds me of like Adam Warlock. I think he would have like that deep voice. He's tall, he's fit, he's blonde, he's got the look, he's a good looking guy. I think if you painted him gold, he would fit in with the rest of the Sovereign. So that's my number one choice, I think, is Armie Hammer. I'm not the hugest fan of him, but I loved him in Social Network, and I liked him in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So, I hated The Lone Ranger, but I hated that whole movie, so I can't blame it all on Armie Hammer. But I think he would make a good fit as Adam Warlock, and I think he would fit in nicely, and it'll be a nice love triangle between him, Gamora, and Quill, because I think he fits in there. Yep, I love it. I like that casting of Armie Hammer, assuming he's not already signed on to do something with DC, which I think there was a rumor floating around that he was. So, yep, that's it for this one. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about my thoughts for Adam Warlock and where we would go with. Oh, and his solo movie would probably be The Magus. That would be amazing to be for his first solo movie after Guardians, to be Adam Warlock going up against the Magus. And maybe he has something to do with forming the Infinity Watch, but I doubt it. But the Infinity Watch, I think, will be at the end of the whole Infinity Saga. I believe the Infinity Watch will be established, where one stone is being protected by a different hero throughout the galaxy, definitely. Maybe he'll have something to do with that, maybe not, who knows. Alright, I mean it this time, I'm done with this one. Sound off down below. Let me know what you think about my ideas for Adam Warlock and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I kind of changed my idea from my previous video on the predictions, but I didn't change it that much. And let me know what you think about this video. If you have any suggestions on how I can do these better, improve in any way, please drop them in the comments down below. If you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Makes me feel good about myself. That's it for this one. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will see you next time. Where is it?